purpose is to support Donald Trump. By the way,
and destroy his enemies?
To make sure his enemies know that there's no free shot on goal.
Well, his enemies are also getting named, including Nevada Senator Dean Heller, who crossed Trump on health care and is getting primaried by a Trump loyalist, Danny Tarkanian, who just met with Bannon, who says he's fully backing him. And Danny Tarkanian joins me now. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Let's start there with health care. The Obamacare plan, as it exists, is more popular in your state than it has its critics. What would you want to do about that, and would you be willing to go against your constituents on it?
Well, that's what you're saying. I mean, I'm not sure what polls you're looking at. You've had millions of dollars thrown into the state trying to advocate Obamacare and demonize any repeal of it. Just 6 months ago, it was a huge upside down and people wanting to repeal it. Look, Obamacare is failing. It's going to go under because it's increasing the cost of not only the debt and the taxes that are being imposed, but the middle-class Americans that, like my family, are paying 300% more for our health insurance premiums, 500% more for our deductibles. To go see the copay to go see a specialist, which my son has to see 8 times a year, is $150 when it used to be $25. I go all around the state and I listen to stories like this from other hardworking middle-class Americans. The people that don't have a voice back in Washington, D.C., maybe the ones you're not polling when you start talking about the likelihood or dislike of Obamacare.
Yeah, it's an American Medical Association poll, that one that's 45-37. So it's not me doing the polling.
And they've come out very strongly in favor of Obamacare, and they're getting taken care of by the Obamacare provisions.
Let me ask you this, because you have been, basically depicted as a real Trump loyal senator, if you were to become senator, that would replace Senator Heller. Are there issues like Russia sanctions where you might stand up to President Trump? Would you have voted for that Russia sanctions bill?
Look, there's all kinds of things that I may not agree with President Trump when I get into office, but I'm a firm supporter of his America First policies, and I agree with those policies. And those are the things that Donald Trump ran on and won his election in 2016. And those are the policies that the GOP elected officials should be supporting him on.
Russia sanctions, then? Yes or no?
Well, I would probably vote for the sanctions, but I have to know all the details on it. Look, I agree with President Trump that we need to try to work with everyone in this world. In fact, we were working with the Russians in World War II when we were fighting the Germans, and they were much worse than they are now. It doesn't mean that you're going to give the Russians a free rein to do what they want, meddling in our elections and so forth. And if there's sanctions that need to be done, yes, let's do it. But at the same time, let's try to work with everybody around the world and make this a safer, more prosperous place.
That's policy. Also, there's a question here about standing up to some of Donald Trump's false statements. I'm sure you're familiar with some of them, and we see candidates sometimes struggle to figure out what they want to do. For example, you're from a state, Nevada, that went for Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump lost the popular vote, but won the Electoral College. Would you be able to stand up to him and say he's wrong when he claims that he won the popular vote?
Look, Donald Trump has a different style, the way he acts and interacts with different people. It's worked for him. It isn't the same style that would work for me. But when you talk about him winning the state of Nevada, he lost by 2% when Romney lost it by 7%. He lost the state with our GOP governor, our GOP Senator Dean Heller, my opponent, the Senate candidate Joe Heck, and another congressional candidate, Crescent Hardy, all repudiating him and saying they wouldn't vote for him. Why would anybody think you could win a state when you have your own base of elected officials not support him like that?
No, I hear you. And politically, he outperformed prior Republicans there and some other places. But would you be able to admit that he made a false statement about the popular vote and that that's not good for credibility of our elections?
Look, he's made statements that are certainly questionable, but Obama's made much worse statements dealing with extremely important policy issues. Like, how about Obamacare? It's going to reduce policies for individuals by 2,500%. Or that with respect to Iran, we're going to have the most stringent inspections that there possibly can be, and then we find out the Iranians themselves are inspecting them. Or how about Benghazi, where he said that this was a film that caused all this rioting when they knew for sure that it was not. These are important misstatements that President Obama made, but you guys are holding President Trump to a different standard on statements that aren't nearly as important.
I understand that's your view there. Last question on immigrants in your state of Nevada, about 13,000 people affected under DACA. What do you want to say to them, and do you think they should face deportation if Congress doesn't pass a change within 6 months?
Look, President Trump got rid of, or at least for 6 months, and most unconstitutional usurping of power by a president through an executive order. Even President President Obama admitted that when he implemented the order. I mean, we are a country with the rule of law.
Wait,
we have a great constitution. That constitution should be followed. And President Trump just wants the constitution to be followed.
If the order is unconstitutional, why should Trump be enforcing it today at all then?
Well, he's given it a 6-month order so that we do not have a 6-month delay, so that we don't have chaos with what's already been implemented by President Obama. And he's given it to Congress and forcing Congress to step up and do what's right and make a decision.
But if your premise, Mr. Tarkanian, is that it's unconstitutional. Oh, sorry. I was saying, if your premise is that it's unconstitutional, that's your view, how can you support continuing something for 6 months if it is, as you say, unconstitutional?
Listen, you know it's unconstitutional. President Obama said it's unconstitutional. If President Trump would have eliminated it completely and it took effect today, you'd be crucifying him today. He's trying to find a more stable rollback of an unconstitutional act by President Obama. You should be praising that. The DACA people should be praising that. Now it's back in Congress. They have to make the decision. That's what the Constitution requires, and everybody should be happy that it's getting back to what the Constitution requires.
Mr. Tarkanian, appreciate getting your perspective, and a lot of people are going to be watching your race. So thanks for coming on The Beat.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.